Good evening everyone and welcome to the Kontakt Script Programmer. We are going to finish up our Chapter 2 videos today with 2.13 or 2.13, which is UI control. So UI, whenever you use a UI element, there is a UI callback, which we've seen before in, what was it, actually the one just before we I was looking at UI control. So we've already looked at UI control and we've looked at the UI callbacks. Today we're going to look at UI update. So UI update callback is used every time you change anything in GUI. Okay, so you need to be really, really careful with this, because if you've got lots of GUI changes or if they happen automatically, you're going to constantly be pinging this callback. And if you keep pinging the callback, you can drop samples, you can start to get clicks and pops and some ugly audio stuff. So you want to keep this as light as possible, okay? But if you need something for making sure that your some of your UI elements correctly mirror everything that's actually happening in the software, then this is what you're going to have to use. So today we're going to build this patch, which basically just looks at the volume knob. So it looks at this volume slider, and we're basically just using a volume knob to control that slider. So there are a number of different elements that we haven't quite got into yet, so I will explain them to the best of my ability. So on initialization, we declare a UI knob called volume. It goes from 0 to 1 million, one step at a time. So it's a lot of resolution, which is pretty cool. We set the knob unit to be volume. Okay, well, so we set the knob unit for volume for this UI knob to be in decibels. Kontakt or Native Instruments have supplied this cool thing where you can assign a unit mark to a knob. So it comes up next to the knob and it's automatically converted into one of these formats. So we have none, which will just give you the value, decibels, hertz, so cycles per second, percent as in percentages, milliseconds, octaves, and I believe steps. So probably like coarse tuning. I could be wrong on this one. Let's double check. See if we got. All right, we're on our own for this one, so that's okay. I'm always alone. So let's check this out. So 2.13 rather. So we set the default value of volume to 63,000 or 630,859, which again has to do with this decibel count. So don't fret too much with that. Some of this will be trial and error. It is just a default value. So it's actually 0, essentially right in the middle. Gets into a little bit more complicated volume parameter metrics if you wanted to get into it, which I don't, I'm not really going to concern myself with. From there, we get the volume knob that we've been playing with so far, and we use this command get engine parameter. Okay, so it's _get _engine _parameter or par, and what this does is pulls a set of parameters that Kontakt has already set up for us. So in this case, it's actually pulling the volume of the engine, and then it's setting it to -1, -1, -1, which again might sound a little bit weird, but once we have a bit of a play with it, it won't be so creepy. So maybe we're on our own for this one as well. Let's see if we can find this instead. Okay, because they are handy to see what this means, where it has. So here we go. So engine parameter values, we could put any of these in. So we could have made a volume knob or a slider that measures tuning or panning or volume, or smooth, formant, speed, grain, transient size, formant, shift, speed, unit. There are a lot of different functions here that we can combine. So already you're getting the capabilities of doing things like changing some of the grain length, which is the new Kontakt believe it's the new feature. It might be called something else, but from there, phase or form or lo-fi and different effects. So each of these are effects that we can change. So it's getting a little bit exciting now. So we have instrument, group, and bus volume. Okay, so if I look that up again, we should get back up there. So instrument -1, so that's this current one, -1, this current one. Was it instrument, group, volume? So shouldn't be changed. So all pretty basic stuff there. If you want this knob to affect this instrument in this group, then this is the command you need to use. From there, we set the knob label, where we can use volume and then get engine parameter disp. Again, that one. Let's see if we can find display. So that's all that is. That should have made sense already. So this has been around for a long time, so it's a handy way to display this volume in these decibels, or you can use whatever you like. Obviously don't use hertz if you're using volume, because that won't make any sense. From there, on UI update, so whenever we change any GUI elements, in our instance we're only going to change this one GUI element because that's all we have, but we can call it a few different times. Okay, so we're going to change the volume knob. We're going to get engine parameter. Okay, we're going to get the volume, and we're going to set our knob label to be the volume of this. Okay, and we can actually do the same thing again on UI control of volume, and we're going to set engine parameter for this way. Okay, so we can change the two different elements. So let's jump into Kontakt and take a look, see if we can manage to get it going. So on initialization, we declare a UI knob called volume, and it's 0 to 1 million. Did I get the right amount of? Yeah, I think so. We set the knob unit to volume knob units in decibels. We set the knob default value to be volume, or for volume rather. We set it to the easy to remember value 63,000 or 630,859. So that one makes a lot of sense if you think about that. Volume again. So this is where we're setting the, don't forget the underscore before get engine parameter. This is just so that you can actually tie it to different values. We're not doing that right now, but it is a different way of initializing it. I believe it was the past way to do it. They've sort of changed that a little bit. Set knob label for volume again. Remember, it is case sensitive, so you really got to have a look, make sure you get it all right. Engine parameter volume, -1, -1, and double brackets, end on. So that's the end of the initialization phase. From there, we're going to go UI update, and we're going to change our volume. So this is anytime any GUI is changed, we're going to look at volume. So we're going to try the two different methods and see what are the points of both. Obviously, we won't really get a really large performance fallback from one knob, but with optimization, you know, you can imagine how it gets a lot handier to have really correctly optimized code, because it can get quite difficult if every time you change a GUI knob, you get that really disgusting crackle sound. So let's see if we've got it right so far. No, that's good. Excuse me. So we're looking at set knob label, we're looking at volume, we're getting engine parameter. Aha, what's this plus sign doing there? Don't need this plus sign. So we can see that whenever we turn this volume knob, it's set at -9.2, and we don't have this changing except when we change this first. Okay, because we have UI update, then we're changing the knob. we need this is the call from this UI, okay? Whereas this won't change the master volume control. Okay, so this is why we have the two callbacks. So this is why we have this UI update. Okay, and then we have UI control. So we want to be able to make the UI update change the volume, and the volume change the master volume. Okay, so we're going to go through and build that now. On UI control of volume, we set engine parameter as engine parameter volume, -1, -1, -1. Set knob label volume get engine display parameter display, obviously. -1, -1, and end on. Fantastic. So now if we change this, whenever we stop, you notice it's not going to happen while we're changing it. And this one will, okay, because again, UI control is going to be pinging that every time we change a value here, whereas UI update is whenever we touch a UI, and then when we let go, it will change it. Okay, so already you can see that this is a great way to start playing with some features. While the volume is not, you know, the handiest way to use it, the cool part of this is engine. Let's find one of the, I picked the longest engine parameter volume. Let's go this way. Jump to the bottom. So we can now change any of these. So we could change this to pan, for instance, by grabbing engine parameter pan. So if I change each of these volumes to pan, we will now be changing this slider here. Although, as you can imagine, our units in decibels probably not going to work. Well, we can have it in decibels. It just doesn't make any sense. In volume pan. And this still needs to be called volume. Right, so now we have this volume moving this pan pot over here. Okay, from there we can go through and build any of these. We can change mirror, quantize, we can play with all of these different elements. We can change insert effects, so change threshold so you can input a compressor and start using those. We will start building some of these. I will put together some exercises for you to build some of these and then post up the completed code, probably on GitHub or Patreon, depending on which one I have the easiest access to. And we'll implement all these functions and show you how you can grab some code, stick it together, and start playing with some of these awesome effects like the jump amp, which I'm excited to have a play with. There are a number of new effects that are really, really exciting, as well as just building basic filters. And this script is really, really easily scalable. You just need to start basically copy pasting. We can get into macros for building this stuff at some point, but for now, build a few of these units, pick a few of these, and see if you know how to, use cutoff. Let's see if we can build one with cutoff nice and quickly. So again, I'm not really sure if this is, it's probably not going to work now that I think of it. Oh yeah, so there's our units, and then if we add in a filter, we're going to start changing the cutoff that way. So it's also going to change pan because of this parameter pan that we've still got here. So that's pretty good. We have a way to change the pan. So thanks for joining me for the last episode of the 2.13, and I'll catch you soon.